The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC has spoiled us with many new goodies we get to use in Elden Ring now, whether it's weapons, spells, armors, or Ashes of War, which means that the experimentation with new builds has never been more fun than now. Today, I want to go over my current top 3 most fun Ashes of War from the DLC to hopefully give you a spotlight on some of the skills you might have missed or haven't given a try yet. In an attempt to properly capture the word fun, this list will focus on skills which, number 1, do at least some good damage, and number 2, make you look good while doing it. So, let's get into it. Starting out with number 1, the aspects of Crucible Wings. Not only is this the only Crucible ability which is an Ash of War and not an incantation, but it also works incredibly epic when used in combat. With the use of this Ash of War, your character grows wings, which lift you up in the sky and let you do a fast forward dash into anything that's in front of you. This Ash also works with any type of sword, polearm, or twin blade, and in case of twin blades even unlocks a really cool looking spinning attack instead of the piercing attack that you would see otherwise. Unfortunately, however, while the spinning attack is way cooler than the thrust you get with other weapons, its damage is from my experience way worse than the thrust, so keep that in mind. This skill is also holy focused, which means that holy and lightning damage types are its speciality. For this Ash of War, I used a fully upgraded Cross Naginata with a Holy Infusion as well as the Sacred Scorpion Charm and Alexander's Shard for the extra holy damage and Ash of War damage increase. Invest into Faith as your main stat at least until you hit the soft cap at around the level 60, then put the rest into either Dexterity or Mind and Endurance to save yourself running out of stamina and FP while using this skill. To take it a notch further, use your Physique's Holy Shrouding Crack tier with the Faith Not Crystal tier to boost your Faith and Holy damage, and your angelic attacks will begin to make dents in the boss's health bars. On top of that, since we are spec'd into Faith quite heavily, we can also take advantage of some of the best buffs in the game, such as the Shabriri's Howl and Golden Vow for extra damage. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that while this Ash of War does look awesome, practicality of this skill is somewhat mixed. In certain boss fights where the boss keeps spamming fast attack after fast attack into a combo, you might struggle with pulling this attack off consistently, and usually will have to make some extra distance before you begin using it, as you unfortunately cannot poise through most attacks and will be thrown out of your ability quite quickly. Next up on the list is an absolute beast, and it's none other than the Spinning Gravity Thrust. This Ash of War lets you turn it into a spinning gravitational drill with infinite poise that does incredible damage and completely melts bosses in seconds. In case you don't know how to get this skill, you first have to defeat Commander Gaius behind the Shadow Keep and use his remembrance to purchase the boss weapon, from which you can actually remove the Ash of War and use it with whichever weapon is compatible. My absolute favorite use of this Ash of War is to combine it with any good colossal sword. For this showcase, I combine it with the legendary Guts' Greatsword. Your stat attribution should mostly go into strength, with the rest of your points into mind and endurance to keep you spamming this skill for as long as you can, or an extra faith for access to buffs such as Flame Grant Me Strength for extra physical damage, which will be our main source of damage. Infuse the Greatsword with Heavy to get that beautiful A scaling in strength, apply your buff if you have any, and then just spam away. In literal seconds, you can see bosses' health bars drop from full health to 0 without even paying attention or having to dodge attacks, as you'll be poising through everything that you literally come across. Due to the incredibly fast hitting attacks from the Gravity Thrust, we can utilize talismans such as the Winged Sword Insignia and the Millicent's Prosthesis to boost consecutive attack damage, and utilize the other 2 talisman slots for something like Alexander's Shard and Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman for that extra survivability to help us tank through more damage while we're spinning away. This Ash of War looks cool, does insane damage, and is very easy to set up, and I wholeheartedly recommend you try it. And for our last but not the least, we have the Poison Flower Blooms Twice. What this Ash of War does is it makes your character do a sharp kick, which causes Scarlet Rot buildup on the target. But where the damage really comes from is once our target is successfully inflicted with Rot, as when we use the Ash of War afterwards, we remove the Scarlet Rot from the enemy but deal way more damage than before, which creates this fascinating and very satisfying result when pulled off properly. In order to get the most out of this build, we're going to use the infamous Bloodfiend's Arm. as its status effect scaling is hands down the best. But this time, we're gonna infuse it with poison. Because the poison scales off of Arcane, we can utilize this to boost our damage higher before we deliver our final Scarlet Rot kick. The way we achieve this is by equipping the Mushroom Crown and the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation, which both boost damage after a successful poison or Scarlet Rot proc. Invest into Arcane as your main stat, then use the Chicken Leg's 200 plus poison buildup to inflict the enemy with instant poison using the charged heavy attack. That way, we boost our damage before the kick attack, then spam the Ash of War until you afflict your enemy with Rot, and again to deliver that final burst of damage. As you can probably tell, this one requires the most prep work before being able to deliver the maximum damage, and even then can be optimized further, such as if you inflict yourself with poison before the fight even begins, your AR will already be boosted, and that way you can instantly start spamming away your Ash of War without your chicken leg. On the other hand, if you don't like to optimize things with the poison buildup, the Ash of War on its own is still decently good. So if you don't want to deal with the whole poison buildup thing on the side, you can skip straight to step 2 and spam Rot buildup into poison flower burst damage again and again until the boss dies, as the kick itself still does very good damage on its own. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my top 3 list for the DLC's Ash of War. Hopefully, this video has helped inspire you to try out different builds and explore the build variety in Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree even further. In any case, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.